right. So what's going on, everybody? We're back. I'm George Gallo,
I'm Brandon Miller.
and this is the Mecca Sports Podcast. So today we have our first guest, Pat. What's going on? How are you?
What up, man? I'm
Introduce
the first
yourself.
guest.
First guest is our
Oh,
first
I love
real
that.
first.
That's
This is
fire.
the first, so we're gonna start it off good. So
Love that.
introduce yourself a little bit.
So my name is Pat. They call me Pat Bayless. I have a podcast called Culture Shock Podcast. You guys can find me Culture Shock NY. We also have a website, cultureshockny.net. Other than that, man, we just do podcasts about life, relationships, sports, everything that you can imagine. So I'm just happy to be here, and I see y'all starting off, man. It's dope. I remember starting off, and it's a lot of ups and downs you go through, but it's dope, man. And once people really start to grasp what y'all going and what y'all getting at, it's gonna be beautiful. So
So first, thank you for being here. I appreciate it.
absolutely.
So I grew up with Travis with his little brother Travis.
Yep.
We had the same friend group. I was at his house and birthday parties playing football. We're all hanging
Mhm.
out. So, his aunt Gladys was my actual teacher too in school. So
Wow, that's
so
cool.
that was cool. She's very close friends with my mom. My mom's close friends with your mom, Christine. We know everybody. So it was cool. Gladys got to smack me around in class when I was misbehaving and shit. So that's good. So
That's what's up.
Brandon, you want to start off with your first question? We'll go right into it.
Yeah, I got you. No worries about that. All right. So, Pat, I got a question for you.
Yeah, let's
How
do it.
was it starting a podcast in the beginning? And what advice would you give to, some beginners, that are trying to start something up?
So I ain't gonna lie, man. I had the podcast idea for years. One of my friends finally was just like, "Yo, I can teach you," because he had, he was doing his podcast as well. So for me, it just the struggle was, you're trying to learn and you want to be crisp. Like for me, it's like I always wanted to be crisp at what I do. I don't want people to watch my podcast and be like, he's an amateur. But really we are. You know what I'm saying? Everybody that gets into this field, you kind of sharpen your tools, just like somebody that plays sports. You in the gym. So like this is kind of like being in the gym. So the hardest part is just really finding your niche and finding how to prep for a show, what questions to ask, how to do all of that. And then also when you're putting out your podcast, it's kind of like hustling. Not gonna lie, it's kind of like hustling. You gotta put your episode out and send it to people, because what I learned is that, especially in the beginning, people are very, very lazy. They'll look at your clip, they'll like your clip, but they won't watch your episode. So what I did was probably annoying to a lot of people. I would send it right into their DMs, because now it's in your face. You gotta click it, or if you don't click it, cool, but it's right there. You get what I'm saying? So my advice just to people that start is just be humble about it. Like if you have success in the beginning, beautiful, but it's a process, and be patient. Some videos are gonna do great. Some videos aren't gonna do what you thought they were gonna do. Like those are all things that are gonna happen. But at the end of the day, as long as you love what you're doing and you putting your heart into it, people are gonna respect it, and the following is just gonna stay. Your following's gonna grow, but your main following is always gonna stick with you.
Right.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I like
Awesome.
that. That's a great. Um, so I want to get a little to know about the beginning of your podcast. What inspired you to start your podcast? And to second on to that question, what methods do you come up with creating content? Is it with a team? Is it you write stuff down? How is it that you find yourself creating content after you start up the podcast originally?
So, like the inspiration at first for my podcast was I was into sports, like what y'all do, right? Like I love sports. Sports was everything for me. So for me, it was like, all right, let me just do a sports podcast. That was kind of where it started. I got people, got some guests, and then I really was like, I have a lot of knowledge. I've been through somewhat a lot of stuff in my life, especially when it comes to like relationships. So I'm like, I have a lot of knowledge on this type of stuff. Um, how do I do this? Where do I meet the middle ground? So then I had a team with me. You know what I'm saying? I went through a couple co-hosts. Now I have, like I think I have me and four others. So it's cool. It's a lot of work. Um, but like for shows, for instance, how I prep is I come up with a title. So I think of a title. So I'm trying to think of one of my titles, man. Man, I can't think off the top of my head, but I'll just come up with a title like relationships. Let's go with relationship goals, right? I mean, I'll think of that as a title, and then boom, I just start putting down questions in my notes. This is just me by myself. I'll be up at night, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'll do that, and I'll just keep adding titles, and then I'll just come up with my questions that way. So that's my method. I don't know if that's if that's easy for everybody, but that's the only way I can think. I can't just think of questions and then try to figure out a topic for what I just wrote up.
Yeah, I mean, for one person, I understand that's probably like a good thing. You organize yourself.
Mhm.
With me and Brandon, we have two people that we both are constantly trying to come up with different ideas and
Right.
new contents, and we're just focusing on the sports side.
Mhm.
So it's nice to kind of get someone who's into sports, but also you have other aspects of your podcast that you focus on as well, which is something that I think we should start doing soon too as well.
Mhm.
Right. I really respect that way you branch out, and try and reach those different groups, those different target audiences and stuff like that. I think that's awesome. But one more question before we get into start talking sports and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
I saw the other day you had Danny Green on your podcast.
Yes, that
So
was
how was that? Explain that.
so. I reached out to Danny Green, somebody I had interviewed. She had given me his contact, right, to reach out to him. So I went through him, I went through his agent, and it was a process, man. It took about 6 months because he was
Wow.
constantly, at first he played for the Sixers and then he wound up getting released. And then he
Mhm.
does TV, he does ESPN. So it was a lot of back and forth. Um, but at the end of the day, they saw my persistence and they were like, you know what? Like they probably got sick of me. It was like, you know what? Let's just give him an interview. But at the end of the day, it was dope because I was just literally sitting like how we're sitting here, and I'm just looking at Danny Green. I'm like, bro, I really got a 3-time champion. Somebody that's played with LeBron. Somebody that's played against my favorite player, Kobe. Like I got somebody here that I can really talk basketball with. You know what I'm saying? And
And he's
Yeah.
and he's from Long Island
and
too.
he's from Long Island on top of that. So it's like the Long Island love. I'm praying that then catapults me to get people like Tobias Harris or
Right.
people
Yeah.
from Long Island. You know what I'm saying? To constantly show love. It's a constant plug-in. As you do it, the more people talk. So it was dope because that's somebody I grew up watching. That's somebody that I ain't gonna lie, I was rooting for against the Heat. You know what I'm saying? So it was dope.
Yeah, he's also
So
he's amazing in 2K, let me tell you. I used to
Oh
use him in
yeah,
2K all
cheat
the
code.
time. Yep.
yeah,
Mhm.
jump shots butter, man.
Yep.
Go
Facts.
So
ahead.
without giving away too much, having Danny Green on your podcast, that's like, that sets the bar pretty high.
Absolutely.
So from there, what can consumers expect from your content, and what's next, and what other ideas can you have without, sharing some juicy
Yeah.
stuff that you got saved?
I mean, to me, I'm always gonna have topics. Like I'm always gonna have the basic talk with me and my team. We're always gonna discuss things in life, trending topics, relationships, different things in business. But as far as like guests, with the whole Danny Green thing, it just gives me a resume to reach out to people and like a Lou Williams. You know what I'm saying? I could say that. Like I reached out to Lou Williams, me and Lou Williams had a talk. So that I pray is in the works. But just like I said, Tobias Harris, things like that. It's really about being patient at this point because they're in the season right now. And stuff like that, Marcus Stroman, people like that. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
again, it's being patient, being persistent, and those are the people that I would love to have on the show. But it's gonna take time. Like, it's one of those things where you want to be on the next person right away. You want to go from Danny Green to this to that. But you also gotta understand, listen, you gotta grow too. I'm not, Paul George asking another basketball player to come on the pod. I'm just Lil Pat from Long
Yeah.
Island. They don't know, you know what I'm saying? They don't
Yeah.
know me like that. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? But I think once people get around me and once like Danny Green in the interview, he even said it like genuine, you know what I'm saying? He could tell I'm genuine. I know my stuff. So with that reputation, if I could build that, hopefully the sky's the limit.
Exactly. I'm happy for you too. From a
Appreciate
personal
that.
level, from knowing you before, I remember Kobe was always your guy,
That's my
big
guy.
into Tampa Bay, the Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
So, just seeing how your passion for sports and everything's coming along, talking to Lou Will, that's huge,
Mm-hmm.
and the sky's the limit, talking to all these guys, it's just going to keep going on and on. It's just, you're just going to improve from here. So I'm
Appreciate
happy to
that.
see the growth, and I'll definitely be tuning in and keeping in touch.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So
Um, yeah,
you want
go
to
ahead,
start?
Brandon.
Let's start our first
Do it.
segment. Let's do it. So we're gonna go over the NBA playoff picture and we'll talk about the Knicks first because obviously the playing game decides who they play. So
Mhm.
Pat, let me ask you, out of the Sixers and the Heat, who would you rather play and why?
So if I was the Knicks, I'd rather play this. I'd rather play the Heat. Um, I think both of them are matchup nightmares for y'all. I know you guys are big Knicks fans.
What are
Um,
you? What's your team?
I'm a Laker fan, and right
Lakers.
now, right now we playing. And listen, I'm not going to. I don't think we have a shot in hell against Denver, but I want to play Denver because
Really?
don't run away from the competition. That's how I feel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
that's
think
soft.
I think the Thunder are just as good. Like people sleep on the Thunder. I think the Thunder will beat the hell out the Lakers. They really got a deep team that people don't really realize. But going back to your question, the Knicks, I think you want to play the Heat if you're gonna play the two, because I'm not gonna lie, that's Sixer team. They really haven't hit their stride all season because of injuries, and just Embiid is just a dog down there, man. And you guys aren't, you know what I'm saying? You guys aren't healthy down there. You know what I'm saying? I know you guys got the group, and you guys got the defensive group, especially adding OG, which I think was key. But I'd rather play the Heat, man. I know the Heat are well coached. I know that they got that dog Jimmy Butler who always shows up in the playoffs. But if I gotta pick one, I'm going with the Heat.
Right. I low key kind of disagree. I'm not gonna lie. I think
You
I'd
rather go with
rather
the Sixers?
I think I'd rather go with the Sixers because Embiid
Okay.
just came off the injury. I don't think he's 100% right now. I think you've seen him
Mm-hmm.
limping off the court a little bit, and obviously we've had trouble with the Heat in the past. So I mean, so is
Yes.
every team in the Eastern Conference, if we're being real. But
Right.
George, what are your thoughts?
We're looking past. We're looking past Philly. We're looking past Miami. We're the 2 seed for the reason. We're not messing around with a 7th or 8th seed. We're not letting a playing team come in and upset us second round. We got our eyes on Boston, the Eastern Conference Finals right now. We're not worried about a Joel Embiid with no one else on his team. We're not worried about Jimmy Butler coming away from his in season side things that he does, and then he comes in April and plays basketball. I'm not worried about Indiana. I'm not worried about Milwaukee. Giannis. It's Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's the only thing I'm focused on right now as a Knicks fan.
You got some high
George,
hopes.
I'm gonna be hitting you up if you guys take a loss in that first round. I'm just gonna let you know.
If
I'm
you
not gonna
take,
let you
listen,
live. Clip that right there where he just
flip
went,
it,
and then
flip
yeah,
it,
you got man, that's tough.
Oh
flip it.
nah,
I
that's
respect it
crazy.
though. I respect the
Saturday,
confidence.
Saturday,
For sure.
Saturday's game one. I'm going to a bar right by the city. I'll be
Oh
right out
man,
in
that would be
Madison Square
dope.
Garden right after we win game one. We'll be going crazy celebrating. Listen.
That's what's up.
I get Julius Randle's not there. I think this team could play without him. I think starting Josh Hart at the 4 or OG at the 4, I think that brings a little more defensively to our team.
Mm-hmm.
And against a team like Philly, where you got a lot of guys that could score the ball: Maxi, Kelly Oubre, Tobias, Buddy Hield could shoot the ball, so you're gonna need a lot of defenders. So I think the
Yeah,
Knicks could match up
absolutely.
well against Philly.
All right, George, you want to ask him another question? Go ahead.
I do want to ask him another question. Talking about the Lakers, they're actually playing right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're
That's
going.
it.
They're going against the Pelicans. Let's say they lose this game. They got to play the loser of the Kings and the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like their chances?
I don't. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm one of them. Like I said, I'm a confident fan. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't want to lose this game. I think they need to win this game. I'm not taking a chance with either or. I don't want to take a chance with Steph Curry in a big game. I don't want to take a chance with Sacramento in a big game. Sacramento's a team that's, let's just be honest, the West is loaded. Sacramento shouldn't even be in the plane. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But the West is loaded. So I'm looking at today's game. I want to get today's game done and over with. Get in the, you know what I'm saying, get in the tournament, get in the playoffs, and go against Denver. Take our chances.
You're right. And you're gonna have to beat them at some point. You're gonna have to get through
Exactly.
Denver at some point. So why not get it over with? And obviously the Western Conference, like you said, is stacked. So you're not gonna get an easy matchup round one no matter what happens. So you might as well just get it over with.
Right.
All
Right.
right. So another thing I want to ask you about the Lakers. So I saw a lot of analysts saying that like the Lakers could possibly purposely drop this game, which I think is probably the dumbest thing I've ever heard an analyst say. What are your thoughts on analysts saying stuff like that? And do you think NBA teams would intentionally do those things to get a favorable matchup round one?
Um, I don't know if they would technically do that. I don't think players want to do that. I think some owners may want to do that. Some GMs may want to do that. Um, but I'm sorry, I don't know who you guys go this. You guys are LeBron, is that y'all go?
Yeah,
or is it
I'm
MJ?
a LeBron guy just because I'm
I'm
a little
I'm an
younger.
I'm an MJ I'm an MJ guy.
I'm a
So
younger guy, so I've seen a
Okay,
lot of LeBron.
so I'm gonna tell you this. To me, it's this to me. If you're LeBron James, that's my GOAT. You do not want a scenario where LeBron James is trying to drop a game to them play a lesser opponent. If
Right.
you the GOAT, you're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I seen Magic Johnson tweet today that it would be crazy if the Lakers really did that intentionally. The people that do that on Sports Center, they doing that for clicks. They doing that for talk.
Right.
Because look, we talking about it now. You know what I'm saying? So
exactly.
it works. You know what I'm saying? Their ideas and logic works, but man, to drop a game to then have to go play Steph Curry or De'Aaron Fox, no, thank you.
That's true.
Yeah.
You know, those are two guys that you do not want to deal with in
No,
an
thank you.
elimination game. Hell no. George, go ahead. Give him another one.
So let's say, because realistically, I think that the Lakers do wind up getting the 8th seed. They have a chance against OKC. I think they don't have a chance against the Nuggets. So
Mhm.
let's say they play the Nuggets. They lose in 5. So there's a lot of offseason rumors going around with LeBron. We heard that, he wants to play with Curry. We know Bronny James is going to be in the draft this year. How do you think that's going to play out? If the Lakers get first round this year, do you see LeBron staying on the team, or or the Lakers try and draft Bronny James to try to lure him to stay? How do you think that unfolds this offseason with LeBron James?
I think it could be a few different scenarios. I don't see LeBron leaving as any scenario. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think for the brand of the Lakers, they want to keep LeBron. Like, regardless if LeBron fell off next year, just fell off completely and couldn't play. I mean, you seen it with Kobe. Kobe at the end of his career, he had nothing left. He was dragging his legs. You know what I'm saying? But the fan base still wants those players there. The Lakers still want that player there, that marquee name there. So I think that they'll keep AD. I think they'll keep LeBron. And I think they're gonna try and lure another star, trade for another star, maybe a Trey Young. Um, Around that, that's that scenario. It's a possibility. His son, I think that can also happen because they are actually, what I heard is that they're going to keep their draft pick this year that they traded away, that they're actually going to get that draft pick in the first round. So it could be a scenario where they do decide to draft his son as well. I just don't think LeBron to leave and go anywhere else. It just don't make any sense unless you're chasing for championships. It just don't make any sense because it's LA, man. It's the Lakers. It's the brand. I get it. It's annoying. Like, who wants to play in the plane every year and fucking worry about if AD gonna fall apart every 2 games? But for his legacy, and I also think just business wise, it's just smart for him to stay in LA, finish those 2 years, have the farewell tour. You know what I'm saying? Do the whole shebang. The Lakers are gonna give him his big send off like they did with Kobe. So
Right.
Yeah.
you know what you're kind of getting yourself into. And I think for LeBron James at this point in his career, I don't think he has anything left to prove. I really don't. I think at the end of the day, now it's just people are gonna scream, yo, argue in the barbershop, who's the GOAT? This guy, this ring, this guy, that ring. At this point, he really doesn't have to win another ring. But if he does, obviously gives him a little bit more to talk about. You know what I'm saying? A little bit more in the argument of who's the GOAT and a lot of solidifications that way.
Right. And obviously, the whole thing about his son declaring for the draft early and all this stuff. Let's say the Lakers did draft him. Obviously, this draft class is not strong at all because we've seen it. There's not many guys in college basketball right now that are impressive in the first round.
Right.
So, would you be mad as a Lakers fan if they did draft Bronny James?
I wouldn't, but I think it's just a reach to draft him in the first round. He averaged 5 points a game. I know he can defend. It'd be cool to be next to his dad. His dad gonna have his ass in the gym working hard. I just think it's tough, man. You gave your son your name. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
the expectation is through the roof for him. It's been through the roof for him ever since he was born. So would I be mad? No, because I don't think that like you said, I don't think there's many players in the draft that's gonna get drafted and make a difference. There always is that guy that sneaks in. I mean, the Joker got drafted while a Taco Bell commercial was on in the second round. Like,
Right.
and now he's a MVP. You know what I'm saying? So those things do happen, but I wouldn't be mad if if it's gonna keep LeBron happy, if it's gonna make things work, cool. As long as that shit don't trickle down now, you gotta play him certain minutes or do this or do that, and he's acting like that. Other than that, I'll be all right. This is what it is. We drafted worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a matter of, playing time and amount of minutes. I think LeBron just wants to play with his son. So I think no matter where Bronny gets drafted, he's going to wind up playing with him before the end of his career. There was talks, where LeBron said he wanted to play with Stephen Curry before he retired. He loved the way Stephen Curry plays. They're great friends. I think this possibly could be the last year that Steph, Dre, and Clay play together. Possibly 2 out of the 3 could be leaving, which leaves Steph Curry there alone, and maybe LeBron will go there and they'll draft Bronny. I personally don't see LeBron being a Laker next year, even if they win. I don't think they're going to win a playoff series anyway. Even if they do, I still think he's gone. 80 can't stay healthy. They're having trouble bringing in that third star. The pieces around them, it's LeBron's getting older. He can't defend in the regular season. He's got to, coast until the playoffs. He needs more of a team that could kind of carry him until it's time for him to turn it up a little bit. And I think Los Angeles is not that place.
Right.
So, yeah, I got another question for you. So, who do you have coming out of the Eastern Conference? Who do you got coming out of the Western Conference?
So my heart wants the OKC Thunder to play in the NBA Finals. That's what my heart wants. Obviously I'm a diehard Lakers fan. I'm just trying to be more of a realist. I love SGA though. I ain't gonna lie, I love SGA. I got love for SGA, like not like Kobe, but damn near, man. I love that kid, the way he plays, everything he's about, his work, everything. Like,
and that's a lot because I know you're a huge.
Yeah, I'm a huge Kobe fan.
Huge,
man.
huge.
Yeah. I just love SGA, man. Like for real, he's just a dog. So I think Denver's gonna come out the West. I want OKC to come out with West, so I'm hoping that. East, I think it's gonna be Boston, but the only thing that scares me about Boston is their close games. They haven't had many this year. They beat the hell out of everybody. They are head and shoulders, really. I know you guys want to hear this as Knicks fans, but they are head and shoulders above a lot of these teams. But the close games scare me because the shot selections, they just weird. Like they don't have set plays. It's just all right, Tatum,
basketball.
you do something. Yeah, Tatum, you do something. Jaylen Brown, you do something. All right, if that's not gonna work, I hope Drew Holiday's in the corner side kicking and he hits a 3. It's kind of vanilla and it's kind of dangerous when you go up against a team like that. Maybe if they play Denver in the finals, I do think that they'll make it. Because they're so deep and because of Porzingis and Derek, you just got a lot of players on that team. I'm not gonna lie, I know y'all gonna hate me for saying this, but I honestly think the Knicks are gonna get knocked out in the first round. I know y'all think I'm crazy. I know y'all gonna think I'm crazy, and that's fine. But I think I should say this, if they play the 76ers, I think they get knocked out in the first round. I'm sorry. I know y'all cursing me on the side and saying I'm crazy, and that's fun. And I know y'all gonna rip me a new one if they blow out the fucking 76ers, and I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? But
oh man,
that's it.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, I'm staying. My phone's off. I'm not opening my laptop. Not turning on the TV. I'm not getting out of bed. Yo, that's if that happens, man.
I already know as Knicks fans, I've been seeing it all year how excited y'all are.
Cry.
And it's awesome. Listen, it's been a while since the Knicks have been this good. So and I respect that. I was wrong with Jalen Brunson. I thought he would be good, but I didn't think he'd be this good.
Yo, nobody saw this.
Didn't see that. And OG, I'm a big Duke guy. I liked RJ Barrett, but in that offense, I didn't like it. So when y'all traded for OG, I'm like, that's perfect. He sits in the corner, he plays defense. He gonna knock down some shots. He timely baskets. I thought that was great. So I think y'all have a good team. I think Julius Randle, it hurts not having him. I don't know, man. That 76ers team scared the lights out of me for y'all. I just there how big they are, and
I know.
That's my biggest thing. And I don't know if I trust Jalen Brunson as being that guy to lead y'all to a championship, but. Listen, he proved me wrong once, so he could prove me wrong again,
Right. And obviously, I'm a realist. I like to be a realist. So I do. There's been times it's the Knicks, man. It's the Knicks. You see it all the time. You can never have 100% faith in the Knicks because they just disappointed my whole life. So realistically, you want to believe that they're going to make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals and play the Celtics and hopefully beat them. But then again, the East, obviously, with their schedule, they're going to have to play Philadelphia or the Heat, and then they're going to have to play the Bucks most likely, obviously, Giannis is out, but I still think the Bucks are gonna win. And then you got Boston, so it's not a cakewalk. So
Not at all.
I could totally see it happening, just like you.
Yep.
Out of all of these Knicks history that I've been through, the Phil Jackson, the draft lottery, the Melo getting blocked by Roy Hibbert and losing, we're not going to Game 7. If we don't win this first round, no matter who it is, this will be the Knicks' worst moment of the 2000s of this century. This will be the Knicks' worst moment. You got a 50 win team to 2 seed. Jalen Brunson exceeding everyone's expectations. You got Devo, a top 3-point shooter in the league. OG, you get 20-3 with OG. Injuries all throughout the season, and you still keep it all together. So if we just completely fall apart and lose the first round, this is the worst thing that's happened to the Knicks in the 21st century.
How do you guys feel about Tibbs though, as a coach? Are you guys pro Tibbs? I know he works those guys out hard, man. Like
Yeah,
they play minutes.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. The other night, DiVincenzo, I think he played 52 minutes because they went into overtime.
Yes.
I gotta be honest.
Crazy.
I was talking to a professor about this. He's a Celtics fan. I was talking to him about this today, and he said the same thing to me. He's like, "But do you think your guys are ran into the ground already? Do you think, in a 7-game series they're gonna last when you guys could play a 9-man rotation realistically? They could, but Tibbs doesn't normally do that in the playoffs. It's 7-man rotation, 40 minutes plus each player. So obviously, I would like to see them, spread the rotation out a little bit, get some guys some minutes. We got Bogdan, we got all these guys, but I hope he really plays them 20 plus minutes in the playoffs. That'd be nice.
I mean, if you guys blowing them out, then you know what I'm saying. If you guys do your job and blow them out or take care of business, you guys can save those minutes. But yeah, it's tough in the playoffs. The rotations they're thin.
Yeah,
and people are going pretty much off adrenaline and heart towards the end of that series.
Right.
Yeah, the one thing I like about this Knicks team is, we got 12, 13 guys that could play. So we could go off matchups. If we have a team that we need more bigs, if we need, more defense, Thibs has options. So even if he runs a 7-man, 8-man rotation, that rotation could possibly change with the last 2 guys in it. Bogdanovich, Burks, Precious, guys like that. You'll see, some guys are going to play some series, some won't, just depending on matchups and who's playing well, who's defending who well, this series. So I like Thibodeau. I like him as a coach. The players like to play for him, and I think strategically, other than playing his star players in times where they shouldn't, I think he's a great coach and possibly a coach of the year candidate for this year.
Yeah, and I think the rotation thing is important. I think even when LA won the championship in 2020. Dwight Howard didn't play. I think it was Houston. He didn't play in that series at all because they just had speed and he just couldn't keep up with that pick and roll. And then
that's when they had the James Harden offense where they had no big men.
Yeah,
they created Capella and they had no big men.
Exactly, and then they go and play Denver, and Dwight Howard's a key piece to guarding Jokic. You know what I'm saying? So I think rotation and being deep like that is definitely key and definitely could propel y'all.
Right, and obviously rotation is a big thing in the playoffs. A lot of teams fall out of the playoffs because of that reason. Players get hurt and stuff like that. But before we end the pod, and all that, I want to go back to something that you were talking about. You think the Sixers would beat us and all this stuff. So I don't know if this has any relevance, but I saw something the other day where Joel Embiid, ever since coming back from the injury, has not scored a dunk ever since. So I don't know how many games that's been, but
8 games.
Again, 8 games, right?
The 76ers were 8-0 when Joel Embiid came back before the postseason started.
Right. So I don't know if that has any significance. I don't know if that'll play a factor or anything. But what I see from that is I don't see him, I also saw another thing where his average height off the ground is 12.5 inches off a jump, and then it decreased by like 5 inches. So I think that's a big problem when you go up against a rebounding team who, crashes the offensive board hard because especially you got big guys like Mitch and all that. I think they're going to struggle with that. Nonetheless, though, obviously, Maxi's been playing like a dog. So,
but I will say one thing to that. I don't mean to cut you off. I will say one thing to that. When you have a player that, so like I would be concerned if that was like a Dwight Howard, where a guy who just jumps. When you have a skilled player, I don't care what position it is, when they're skilled and they have footwork and they know how to use you in the post and all this other stuff, no matter what, even if you're not dunking, you still know moves to get certain things. Like, no disrespect to any big man y'all got, but there's no big man on your team that is anywhere on the level of Joel Embiid. offensively. You get what I'm saying? Offensively. Now,
Right.
can y'all out rebound him if he's hurt? Absolutely. And that rebounding, second chance points, that means everything in that bit. You know, but as far as like scoring, maybe I'm not too worried about him scoring. I'm not gonna lie. I think in the post, if he's got to do what he's got to do, if he's got to flop, if he's got to, he knows how to do
Right.
all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? The one thing he
Yep.
does is he knows how to get the ball in the basket at any type of level. You know what I'm saying? But I think y'all do have a chance. I just scared against 76ers, but I would love to see the Knicks. I would love to see the Knicks do it all because I mean, listen, we live in New York, man, and y'all Knicks fans are crazy when y'all doing well, as y'all should be.
Right.
You know what I'm
Hell
saying?
yeah,
As
yeah.
y'all
We
should
haven't
be.
nothing. One last thing before
Mhm.
we end. I wanted to transfer to the NFL real quick. I know you're a
Okay.
Tampa Bay fan.
Yep.
Guys coming off a successful season. Brought back Baker, brought back Mike Evans. You lost Devin White on the defensive side. You traded away Carlton Davis. You
Mhm.
lost Shaq Barrett on the edge. What are your expectations for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this year in a kind of weak division that which is probably winnable for them?
So Atlanta, I think, wins that division. I think we finish third next year. I'm liking 6 wins next year. I think Baker played well. I wasn't a Baker fan. I'm not gonna lie. Re-signed him. Was not happy. I wanted Caleb Williams. Not gonna lie. It's the first time in my life I ever wanted to lose for somebody because I love Caleb Williams. I think they'll win 6 games. I think Atlanta is very good. I think people don't really understand how good Atlanta really is talent wise because of that quarterback play. It's one of those things where like they just needed a quarterback. So
Right.
I think this year what you're gonna see with Atlanta um is gonna be special. I really do. I think they're gonna win 12 games, 11 games. I don't think, I think you're gonna see Pitts have a standout year, where he wasn't getting the ball, he wasn't getting the touches last year. Bijan Robinson, I think you'll see him more in the end zone more this year. So for Tampa, I like what they did. I think their core that they have, the pass rushers that they got as young boys, that's why they were able to give up Shaq Barrett. That's why they were able to, trade Carlton Davis because they got cornerbacks that are young. But it's football, man. I mean, at the end of the day, God forbid, but Kirk Cousins could go down, fucking Derek Carr could go down, and we could run through that division. But everybody's healthy. Tampa, I just think is a mid, pack team. They're gonna always be able to play defense. When you got, Todd Bowles, you're always gonna be able to play defense.
Yeah.
The offense scares me though, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think Baker had a good year, but again, it's like anybody else. It's like a new quarterback when they come to the league. Once you get tape, once you see their, what they do, it stands out. And I'm sure you guys watched the Lions game in the playoffs when Tampa played the Lions.
Yep.
There's just short little things that like I know I was I had Brady a couple years before that, but it's just short little things as great quarterbacks he just doesn't do. You know what I'm saying? And for me to really think that we could take it and go far, even playoffs and go far, it's a little bit of a stretch, man. You got too many talented quarterbacks. I think Baker is a good enough quarterback, but I don't think he's a Super Bowl quarterback.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously, we'll have to wait and see for the NFL season drafts coming up and stuff.
Absolutely. I can't
Some
wait.
exciting stuff going on. So, with that being said, Pat, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really
Appreciate y'all,
appreciate it.
man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Pat. It was great having you on. We'll have you back on
Absolutely.
soon. We'll throw all your socials in our and
I
in here.
appreciate you, man.
We'll shout you out, give you everything.
Absolutely.
Everyone, make sure you check out his podcast. He's on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all of that. So we'll
I
throw all of that in
appreciate y'all,
the
man.
comments and let's run it up soon.
Hey, listen, man, keep going with this, man. Keep going with this. Good, better, and different every week. Keep going with this, man. Don't stay stagnant. Keep coming up with ideas. Keep